for me, being an employer has that responsibility of like, I want you to succeed. I want you to become the best version of yourself. And for me, that's the coolest part. That's the coolest part of
Mm.
anything I do, is having that impact on people's lives in a positive way.
Welcome to the Game of Her Own podcast, a free resource for women who work in the sports and entertainment industry. Each week, we get real and talk about the things that hold us back and how we can overcome them and keep climbing to the top. And the top is however you define it. We talk about the highs, the lows, and everything in between. Consider this podcast your secret weapon. You will learn from the best in the business and be able to take immediate action with all of the advice that you hear. I'm your host, Jahaan Blake, a leadership development coach and consultant. I've worked in sports for 20 years. 15 of those years were spent working for the Red Sox, Dodgers, and the Cubs. After 15 years of working in the front office, I took a leap of faith and I started my own business. Friends, as a Black woman in sports, I know that the industry can take a toll on your confidence and sometimes leave you feeling defeated. Join me each week so I can support you on your journey. I promise you, each week you will feel stronger and more confident than the week before. So let's get started with this week's episode. Imagine having over 18 years experience, being a 40 under 40 recipient, being named Businesswoman of the Year, and also being named Business Elite 40 under 40, only to have people mistake you for a secretary or an assistant in meetings. That is exactly what has happened to co-founder and CEO of FanSaves, Shannon Ferguson. Now, as much as that infuriates all of us, you will love hearing how her male co-founder, Kris, simply handles it. You will also enjoy Shannon's incredible insights on leading a team. She gets super candid with us, and she talks about mistakes that she's made, how she has grown as a leader, and how that's helped her company succeed as well. We talk about the cheat code to holding your team accountable, how being a perfectionist impacted her managing her team, and how she pivoted. She talks about how to be in tune with your team and the value it will bring your company. She also talks about the question she asked herself in order to stop micromanaging and let her team fully own their projects. All right, Game of Her Own listeners, let's do this. So Shannon, welcome to the Game of Her Own podcast. I'm so happy you're here.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here as well. Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. Welcome all the way from Canada, right? Am I getting that right?
Yeah, just outside of
Yes.
Ottawa, Ontario, up here in Canada. There's still snow on the ground, so.
Ooh, yeah, that's too cold for me. And I'm in Chicago where that's too cold.
It's much too cold for me too.
Yeah. All right. Before we jump in and learn all about the business that you created, your journey in sports, take us way back in time and tell us when you first fell in love with sports.
So I grew up playing competitive hockey. That was such a big part of my life. I also played soccer. I played softball. I started golfing when I was young. So sports has always been really just like a really important cornerstone, I think, in my life. When I went off to university, I actually got scouted to play for a team, and I chose not to go to that school, and I kind of chose to take a year off, and that ended up being like, wow, okay. It was a new world for me not to, have hockey every day and be so regimented. So, I still play a little bit here and there, but definitely not as much as I used to. Love sports. And then when I started my career, I was working in sports marketing for an online sports book. And from there, that kind of just led me on to where I am now with FanSaves.
So you took a year off. You were recruited to play hockey, ice hockey in college and decided not for me. I'm just going to take a year off.
So I actually didn't go to the school that scouted me, and I decided to go to another one that actually had a better hockey program.
Yes.
And then about a week or two before tryouts, I was like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do it.
What made you say that?
I think I just needed maybe a rest. I dealt with an injury to my Achilles tendon for a long time. And I think I just wanted to like have kind of a normal quote unquote college university experience. So I like told my mom, and she was kind of like, oh, okay. Like she supported me. She was surprised, but she supported me. So
Wow, that's it. Yeah, that's a huge, I mean, especially playing like ice hockey. I guess here in the US, at least where I grew up in New Jersey, and there was no, like, ice hockey wasn't a big thing until I went to school in Massachusetts. And then it was like, I was like, oh, they're really into this here. And then, and like, then and now I'm in the Midwest. So like, I hear about it a lot more as well. But yeah, that must have been a difficult decision.
I like to say everything for a reason, and it kind of, it worked out. I mean, I definitely, I miss it sometimes, but up here in the winters, we live on a river, so we turn it into a really big skating rink, and I get to step outside of my front door and get to skate as much as I want. This year I didn't freeze properly, but the past couple of years it was really fun. So, it comes back around, and I really believe that my early days of playing hockey is what makes me kind of like the leader I am. And I compare a lot of things that I learned in hockey to what I learned in business.
Yeah, yeah. So tell everybody what you do now and who you do it for.
So I'm the co-founder and CEO of a sports tech startup called FanSaves. We like to think of ourselves as Instagram meets Groupon, but the professional sports teams we work with use us as their own digital couponing book. So we give fans discounts and deals from the sponsors of their favorite teams, making it easy and accessible for them to support the businesses that support those teams that they like, and putting those deals and those sponsors all in one place, allowing for the team to promote those and then also to receive data from every redemption.
And you're the CEO and co-founder of this business, and you guys have been around for 6 years, is that right?
It'll be 6 years this summer.
Ooh, congratulations.
Thank you.
So if I wanted to use, because I mean, we have, right, the audience is women and some men in sports. So if somebody, like, say, I don't know, they work for the Milwaukee Bucks, and what would their conversation be with you and like how you guys could work together?
Sports teams are our primary client. So we license FanSaves directly to the sports teams, and then they actually add FanSaves into their sponsorship packages as an unlimited digital asset. So sponsorship asset. So they resell it to their sponsors, and they keep any money they make. So that's really important these days as a revenue generator, but it's also really good for those sponsors who are looking to drive more fans into their business. They want their money to go further. They want to see what's the return on investment, and they want to see that data. So we sell to the team like the Milwaukee Bucks. We don't work with them yet, but we do work with the Milwaukee Admiral.
All right. Okay.
So for us, it's a really unique business model. It's unlike other couponing platforms that just go business to business to business. We're really locking in with the team who then sells it and promotes it for us.
Wow. Okay. So then if I'm a sponsor who's working with the Milwaukee Bucks, then I just picked a random team. And then how does that look for the end user?
If you're an end user, you can go onto FanSaves. We have a mobile app for iOS and Android, but we also have a web app. So if you don't want another app on your phone, you can just go to fansaves.com. And then what you do is you follow your favorite teams. So you can follow as many as you want. We are hyper focused on sports, but we also have different verticals. So some communities, tourism, chambers of commerce. You could be a fan of anything, is what we like to say. So just like on Instagram, you follow these pages. And when you follow that page, that's when you have access to those deals from those sponsors. And then you can just scroll through those deals, click on it, and then redeem at the point of purchase, whether that's in store or online.
Oh, all right. I like it. Thank you for breaking it down for me. So I was like, okay, how do I use this? But then how do you use it if you like work for a team? Okay, very good.
It's free for users. So anyone can go on. If you're traveling, like maybe you're traveling to Milwaukee, but you're not from there and you don't know where to eat or what hotels to stay at, you can follow that team in that area and still get those deals. And then season ticket holders, if they're a season ticket holder for the Milwaukee Bucks, they can get better deals. So they can get exclusive deals, and teams can use it as a season ticket member benefit.
Wow. All right. So it's an incredible startup that you have, a tech startup that you have that's in the sports industry. When you first went to create this business, I mean, tell us like what you were feeling, what you were thinking.
Back in 2017, my co-founder, Kris, and I, we were actually managing the sales, marketing, sponsorship for 2 minor professional hockey teams and going out selling sponsorship packages. So they included like scoreboard ads, rink boards, jersey logos, all that fun traditional stuff. But businesses kept telling us, do you have something else? Like they kept saying, we want something digital. We want something that's actually going to drive fans through our doors. And when they come through our doors, we want something that's actually going to track that customer analytics and track that return on investment. Do you have anything like that? And we were working on commission. So we were like, no, but hold up, maybe we'll think of something. And then the kind of idea came to us and we tested it, and businesses were like, yeah, I want to be on this, add me to it. And it was helping us close more deals and more sponsorship sales. So we realized we had something special and kind of grew it from there.
Were you at all like nervous? I mean, leaving, so did you leave a full-time job to start this business?
No, so back in 2016, I started my first business, which was a marketing and events company. The minor pro team that I was working for at the time, they were one of my clients. So I had multiple other clients. I was already self-employed. So it kind of gave me the flexibility while I still had other clients to help grow FanSaves. Kris, my co-founder, was also still working for those teams as his full-time job. So eventually, by like a year later, I had to give away all my clients, my marketing clients. One of the teams we worked for folded. The other one we still helped out and consulted on, but it got so busy a year later that we both dove in head first, and we've been doing FanSaves full time, and we have a team of 8 now. So it's grown quite a bit.
Wow. All right. So team of 8. I mean, you dove right in. So it sounds like to me too, like you're a serial entrepreneur. Is that fair to say?
I guess so. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I started out in the corporate world and life kind of just threw me a couple curveballs. And, my mom passed away in 2015 and it brought me back to my hometown. And she was an entrepreneur. So I grew up watching her run her business. I think it was just something that I knew I couldn't really find a job. I had been working in marketing and I couldn't find that kind of job I really desired. So I just said, oh, I'm going to start my own business. And it kind of just has snowballed from there. But yeah, I would say I'm probably a serial entrepreneur because I have more ideas for the future too.
Yeah, exactly. It's something you can't shut off no matter what. Even if you're in a business that you love and is doing well, you're like, hey, just in the back of my head, I have these other ideas that I want to do as well. You're gonna have to park them for a bit, but yeah, I love that feeling. So, all right, now you have this company, FanSaves. You guys are in it. You are busy. You have to completely get rid of other clients that are not within this scope of work. And now you're in the tech world. As a woman in sports, is there any feeling of self-doubt, imposter syndrome, any of the anxiety as you're trying to make your way?
Yeah, I would say actually imposter syndrome really hit me more so after about like maybe around the 3 or 4 year mark where I started realizing what it was. Like I guess I had it all along, but really around that point when we started getting taken seriously and we started really just making our mark, that's when I kind of started feeling imposter syndrome more. Whereas at the beginning, it was like survival, right? You're just like, we just need to make this business. We need to make it work. We just need to grow. What are we doing? And then getting into growing it, being taken more seriously, being asked to speak on panels, being on more podcasts, and starting to be told by people, oh, you're inspiring me. And that's when it kind of hit where it's like, oh, I just was starting a business, but now I have a responsibility because I do want to inspire people. I do want to help people. I love giving back. I love that idea that I can help someone. So that's when it kind of started getting to the point where it's like, oh, okay, I there's something to uphold. And now I've dealt through some of those issues, but I still do get it sometimes.
That's so interesting, that perspective. Like it makes me think back to sometimes when I would like push for a promotion or push to get, more responsibility in a role that I was in. And then the imposter syndrome came when they were like, yeah, okay, you're right. You could definitely handle this. And then I'm like, wait, what? Oh, yeah. Yeah. And yeah, right. Like you get it. And you're like, oh gosh, now I have to do this. Now I have to perform. And that's when it was not when I was like pitching for the idea or when I was asking my boss and being persistent and probably annoying, right? And trying to get him to say yes or her to say yes, depending on which manager it was. And then I would get it. I'm like, oh gosh, that's when I would get like the pit in my stomach. And it sounds like you went through something similar. It was like you were in survival mode and like trying to get people on board. And then everyone's like, yeah, this is a great idea. Let's do it. Oh, can you be on this panel? Oh, can you? I mean, and you're getting award after award. I was just looking at your bio and I'm like, whoa, the energy that comes from that. Like, I can't imagine that you would have any sort of self-doubt or imposter syndrome. But it sounds like it comes at any level, at any time, really, too.
Yeah, yeah. And I love how you get it. It's exactly like that. And I think for me, working through it has been kind of a journey on its own. And it's true. Sometimes like you get an award and it's amazing. You're like, wow, I'm so grateful. And then you're like, little old me, like, okay,
Yeah.
that's really nice. And then and
Yeah.
you know, I'm so lucky to have Kris, my co-founder, who is such an ally for women in business, women in sports, women in tech. He is always raising me up. He is always putting me in the spotlight. And he is always like, of course you deserve this. Like, you know, it'll be like 9 o'clock on a Friday night and I'm still working. And he's like, this is why you win these awards. Like when no one's looking, you're working. When no one's
Yeah.
looking, you're grinding. And he's like, that's why. And I'm like, oh, that's really sweet. Because for me, it's just like, I just have to get this done and I'm just going to do it.
Right. Yeah. Like you're like, I heads down. I got to get this done. Like if I don't do it, who else is going to do it? This part of, my job, I know you have a team of 8, but like, this is my job. Like I have to get this work done. And you have a team of 8 people who also depend on you for their income, which is, whew, that's a lot of weight. Is that a lot of weight on your shoulders?
Oh yeah. Sometimes like my shoulders just hurt. And I'm like, no, it's because there's like boulders on them.
Yeah.
But it's like worth it. I'm the kind of person like I'm very empathetic. I'm very like I lead with empathy. I lead with like understanding and that weighs on you, you know. You want to make sure that your employees not only are paid, but that they're happy, that they're taken care of, that they still have that vision. You care for them like family. I try to sleep at night. I do sleep
Yeah.
at night, but some of those things keep me up.
I can only imagine. And yes, I get that. Like, do you ever like notice like you're working and you're like, why are my shoulders at my ears right now? Like, what is like, I have to like calm down or you're like clenching your teeth. You don't even realize it's happening.
I love that you said that. Someone told me once, and maybe it was when I was doing a meditation, but they're like, relax your ears when you feel it like that. And you're always like, oh, because like you can't really relax your ears, but you relax your face. And I'm like, oh, I was
Yeah.
so tight and
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
You don't notice it until somebody points it out. I remember someone came to my office and you guys can't see me, but she was standing at my desk or at my door and she just put her hands up and then like pushed them down. And I was like, what? Oh, my shoulders. Yeah. I didn't even realize I was doing that. Like what? Yeah. There's just so much pressure. Now, okay. So you're leading a team of 8 or you have a team of 8. What is that like in the startup world? I imagine, and maybe not because I haven't been in a startup, but is it different from having a full-time job and leading a team, or like talk to us about it?
it's very like rewarding in a way because I feel like I have this really cool opportunity to impact my employees like lives and to help them grow and to help them become the best versions of themselves. So for me, it's not just like, oh, you're on the FanSaves team and like you're on your own. For me, being an employer has that responsibility of like, I want you to succeed. I want you to become the best version of yourself. And for me, that's the coolest part. That's the coolest part of anything I do is having that impact on people's lives in a positive way. And I mean, of course, there's like CEOs out there and presidents and all these titles and people at the top that might not care about that. But for me, it's just so important and it's really cool part of what I'm just able and allowed to do. It is a lot. It's definitely like I call myself a recovering perfectionist. So
Same.
early on, I had to have my hands and everything. I had to check everything, double check everything, make sure everything was good. And that just added more stress, right? More clenched teeth, more weight on my shoulders. And I'm so lucky now to have a team that I trust fully, that literally like I don't need to be in their face all the time and I can be working on the business instead of in the business. And to have them be at that point where they're really coming into their own, it's a really cool feeling.
I totally can understand being a recovering perfectionist. Me too. When you were a perfectionist, you had your hands in everything and checking everything that your team was doing. Did I get that right?
Yeah, like so
At
early on,
first?
we were like a team of four, like our first two employees that came on, even with Kris early on, I'd be like, oh, Kris, like I need to like look over this. Like he's my co-founder. I should trust him. And I do trust him.
Yeah.
Now. But early on, I was like, I need to like proofread that. I need to do that. And then our, first couple of employees would come on and early on, just being like, okay, let me make sure. And now, we just have managers who we've trained and who have grown and they have people under them. And then now those people under them, those coordinators have grown and we bring new interns and we let those newer employees manage
Yeah.
them. And there are still times when I like to look over things. There are still times when I'm like,
Sure.
I am a very creative person. So I always tell my employees, I'm like, I'm so jealous of you. You get to do the fun stuff. Send me over that link. I want to take a look at that file and play around with it just because that's what like takes my pressure off when I can be like creative and have a hand in some of the marketing and branding. So for them, I'm always like, let me do it, let me help, but not in a way like it used to be where it was like, I need to help, I need to do it.
Yeah. Was there a moment where, like a pivotal moment when somebody called you out for delegating, but not really delegating and having your hands in everything?
Kris.
Yeah.
It was like, we have employees, like we pay these people. Our employee number 3, Sean Kite, he's been amazing because he's going to be with us for 4 years now. Watching him grow and watching him turn into a leader at the company really allowed me to accept that while it's my baby, at some point when I don't have children, but at some point you have to leave them to the babysitters and you have to like, back away and trust that the babysitters are going to keep them alive. And I'm just happy that, our first couple of babysitters who are not babysitters, but employees, they really did a good job and they proved to me that they can do this and they're fully capable. And I don't think it was one specific moment. Just in the past year, I'd say maybe year and a bit, did I notice myself being like, oh, I'm not up their butts anymore. Like I trust them.
If I'm hearing you correctly, Kris, probably being your co-founder, he probably, tell me if I'm wrong, probably was the only one who really had the power to say something to you where it would be impactful, where like you guys were equals and yes, it is your baby. But at the end of the day, you are co-founders. And so him saying something to you helped you sort of realize how you were being. Is that right?
For sure. And we're co-founders, but we're also life partners. So we were able to have those discussions. Like it wasn't just work hour conversations. It was like, okay, like I do this in my normal life too. I need to be better. I need to improve, be a better like person in a relationship, be a better co-founder, be a better leader in the company. So yeah, he definitely had a lot to do with that. We're just saying like, just trust the process, trust that it's going to work out. What's the worst that can happen? And that's what I think all the time now. Like, what's the worst that can happen if something goes out on the marketing side that there's a spelling error? Like, no one's going to die, knock on wood. Like,
yeah.
but like repeating that to myself of like, okay, what's the worst that can happen? Like, it's not, I mean, there are things that can happen where we could lose a client. That's like the worst. But if something goes out with a spelling mistake, like, okay, went out with a spelling mistake, we'll fix it next time and we'll be better. We'll learn from it and we'll grow.
Some of the toughest conversations we have are the ones that we have with ourselves. We can convince ourselves to believe stories that we don't even know are true. What's crazy is we allow that story to take a toll on our confidence. Have you been there before? I know that I have. We get in our heads, we beat ourselves up. Here's some tough love. Nobody's got time for that. We are high achieving women who have big career goals. We don't have time to get in our own way. And I am here to support you with my new one-on-one coaching program, Step Into Your Power and Own Your Career. My clients have told me that when we work together, I've helped them get out of their own way, regain their confidence, learn how to manage their emotion and mindset. They've told me that they've been able to get their voice back and use it with confidence. The most important thing, they've told me that we've identified the obstacle that was getting in their way. If you want to learn more about this program, scroll down in the show notes, click on the link that says Step Into Your Power and Own Your Career. You can set up time to chat with me and we can figure out if this is the right program for what you need. All right, let's get back to the episode. the way you managed your micromanaging was to ask yourself a question. What is the worst that can happen if I let this person run with it and there's a mistake? Or I let this person run with it and it flops. Like what is the worst that can happen? And if it's something serious, then you almost know it's almost like you gave yourself like a framework to work within. Like, okay, if it's fine, no one's, you know what I mean? It's not going to impact the business. Like, you know, not going to lose clients. It's okay. I don't need to be in that. But if it is, maybe that needs to come across my desk. Is that right?
That's totally accurate. And it kind of just naturally progressed to that. Like it wasn't just like I woke up one morning and it happened. It was like almost like when you're losing weight and you're doing those steps, you don't even realize. And then all of a sudden you're like, you look in the mirror and you're like, I'm a different person. Like awesome, right? So it's almost just like gradually getting more comfortable with it. And then I remember probably about maybe like 4 to 6 months ago, realizing, oh my goodness, like I'm able to do like the work again on the business. And I'm like, I haven't even been like part of this whole campaign that happened, and it went out and it was successful. And I was part of like the strategy, and I was part of like the early stuff and kind of a little bit of proofreading, but our team did the whole thing. And I was like, wow, like I'm so proud of them. And I didn't micromanage them. And like, how much more work did I get done on the business that needed to be done, that was really important to scale and grow, and the things that move the business forward? I was really proud of myself.
Yeah, you should be. Yeah, I absolutely. And you just summarized that so well. And I think what I see happen to a lot of new managers is that they want to have control over everything, because what their team does 100% reflects on them and their performance and their, you know, and how they're viewed by their boss and leadership. So it's very easy, right? Same thing when you have a business, right? So it's very easy to just be like, I need to have my hands in everything because I want to do well. It's not that I don't trust my employees. I want us all to succeed. But there's so much value in letting go, right? Having parameters around it, but letting go and letting people do what they do best, the reason you hired them. And for your example, it was, I can grow and scale the business. So if you're a manager within a company, if you work for the Bucks, right? Like you can go and work on you can be innovative. You can work on bigger projects. You can work on how to grow your department and, you know, grow sales, whatever your goals are. But it's difficult, but there's so much value in just kind of letting go and being a recovering perfectionist, recovering micromanager, whatever you want to call it. All those things are natural to feel. And I like how you didn't beat yourself up. You said one day you looked up and you're like, I'm doing it. We're all doing it. Like I'm working on it, and it just kind of happened.
And I was like, wow, so much more gets done now, because I don't need to be part of every conversation or a part of every proofread. Like so much more gets done. It like the work, it just flows so much better. And I'm like, oh, okay, this makes sense.
Yes, that's another good point. Like, so like you don't want to be the bottleneck in your company or in your department. And when you do, like, you can always take back the reins if you need to. Like, that's one thing. When you just said that, I was like, oh, you can always just take it back. Like if something's not working out, right? You have to fire somebody and you have to find somebody who can take the reins and run with it. It's okay. You can always go back. And I imagine that your co-founder, life partner, has more respect isn't the right way to say it, but I don't know. I feel like it enhances your credibility in the workplace when you trust other people.
Definitely. And I realized I needed to do that, not just for myself, but I have to respect my co-founder as, a human being, whatever our relationship is. But he's a co-founder. He's as much part of this company as I am. And he needs to know like that I trust him. And that was a big stepping stone for me to take too, and he does. And he works so much better without me like breathing down his neck. And I don't want to breathe down his neck anymore. And I look back to those early days and I'm like, oh my God, I was so annoying. Like that's embarrassing.
That's so funny you say that. And I laugh because I can 100% relate. There are so many times I'm like, oh my God, like No wonder that employee snapped at me. Like, why was I bothering her? Like, you know what I mean? Like, just, oh, okay, like back off. But there's so much value in learning from that experience and not taking it personal. Although I did take it personally at the time, but being able to move away from it and looking back and being like, wow, how much have I grown and how annoying was I in the beginning? But that's okay. It's okay if we're not perfect. We're never going to be, but the growth is what you can see when you look back and just take a minute to reflect.
That's exactly it. And I think that's the coolest part about it all, right? It's like, some people could be a CEO or could be a manager and they can never grow and they will stay the same their whole life. But like, what a cool story, what a cool thing to be grateful for that look, like we grew, and that's what life's all about. If you don't grow, then what are you really doing?
Yeah. Speaking of growing, I wrote it down somewhere, and of course now I can't find it. So look at me not being prepared, but it's fine. So I know you guys won awards for diversity and inclusion. Did I get that right? What was the name of it?
We won in 2021. We won the Best Ottawa Business Award for Best Leaders for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion.
Oof, that's a big, yeah, and that's huge. And I do feel like that right now everybody is focused on that, and rightfully they should be, and so to win an award on top of that, like, just talk to everybody a little bit about maybe what led to that award.
That's one of the awards that for us is just so meaningful. At FanSaves, ever since from the very beginning, we always knew diversity, equity, and inclusion was going to be a part of our a cornerstone in our business because, again, as a woman in sports, as a woman in sports tech, I've seen firsthand the disrespect that you get that people would ask if I was Kris's secretary. People would turn their bodies to Kris and shake his hand and ask him questions while I'm standing right there. And Kris has been such an ally and amazing to say, no, actually, you should ask Shannon that question. She's our CEO and she knows the answer better than I do. So Kris has been such an ally. And together, we just have this same mindset of if we have a more diverse workforce, we can bring so much more value to the company because when you have different mindsets, different backgrounds, different experiences, you're able to really mold your company and be accessible to the world and not just one group of people that will like this. So for us, our employees have so many different backgrounds. We have someone who's hearing impaired, who's wonderful. We have, someone who's a newcomer to Canada. We have more women than men on our team, which we're so proud of. We have different religions, different backgrounds. For us, everything together just really is such a superpower of FanSaves because we're not just in sports. It's a lot of times for many years it was all old white men, and white men are wonderful people, but when you get them all together, you don't have much diverse thinking and you don't get that same growth as you do with a more inclusive workforce. So we're really proud of winning that award.
Yeah, congratulations. And tell me, so for people who are listening, like, yes, I want to help my organization and I want to help them grow and I want to help them win, be credible enough to win an award like that. Maybe they're not going after the specific award, but they want to be at that level. I think the one thing that's difficult for people to grasp is they understand the why, but they're not sure how to do it without giving away your secret sauce. But is there anything that you did to make sure people felt when they actually were hired, to make sure they felt inclusive or felt included or felt like part of the organization? So I don't know that I'm looking for a specific answer, but just curious as to what you guys did.
We've always just made everyone feel welcome. We make everyone feel like they're part of the family, no matter if you're an intern or you're the director of customer success. Everyone is on the same playing field. We're all scrappy people that are working towards the same vision. And no one is better than anyone else. We are all at a startup. We're all making sacrifices to be here. Everyone that works for us knows that they're coming in. They're not making hundreds of thousands of dollars. You're here because you see in the future that this can be a really nice payoff for you. But you're also here because you're learning from each other. Something that's really cool. We have 3 team meetings a week because we're remote. So we do meet we have a retreat, which is wonderful. But, we do 3 meetings a week and we always do a question at the end of the call. Because if you're in an office, you're often not speaking about different different things, or what your favorite like chip flavor is,
Yeah.
So not having that in person makes a difference. But I really find doing our questions, it's just one question. We get to talk about like our childhoods. We get to talk about different holidays, different religions, and everyone is learning about each other. And I think it's like so important because everyone on our team is so open to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we don't want to hire someone who's closed-minded. We don't want to hire someone, even if this was like the best person in the industry that we could bring on, but they would come in and they wouldn't be open and have that diverse mindset. That's not going to be good for our culture, and that's not something that we would want.
So the question, I got stuck there. The question that you ask at the end of every meeting is, so it's different every time.
It's different. We even say like, so it's not even just us that ask it. We like give it to the employees. The last one was like, what's your favorite like Easter memory or Passover memory? Like, what's your favorite chocolate bar? Like, what's a memory that you have from when school was out in the summer when you were growing up? Like, literally just we let everyone else, we're like, who's asking the question today? And
yeah.
It's really cool. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, that is exciting. I kind of got excited. I was like, oh, I want someone to ask me a question, but the life of a solopreneur, like I'm just me here, and a few contractors. But yes, I love that. And I love the idea of giving everybody the opportunity to ask the question. And I think what people can take from this too is like, hey, one way to just make everyone feel included is just let's not always talk about work. Like we have a lot going on. And sometimes I know some meetings I had, we would go around and share like what we did that weekend. It's fine, right? It was nice that there was some before we started, but sometimes you're just like, I don't know if people care about this. Sometimes people are like just quiet, but like looking forward to the question because you don't know who's going to be in charge of asking the question. So you have to come prepared. And then also, I don't know, just making people think about how to answer it and then learning about other people too, things you're not going to, what's your favorite Easter memory? There's so much you're going to learn about your coworkers who are all remote, right? There's so much you're going to learn that you would have never known. I don't know.
And it's so fun too. And like people remember things. So like one of our employees said like he loves like water slides. I forget like what the question was. But then we were traveling and we saw this really cool water slide. So we like took a picture and put it in Slack and we're like, Sean would love this water slide. So like everyone thinks of each other. Or like they'll be at the dollar store and they'll see like one of our employees' favorite chocolate bar, like I said, and take a picture and be like, hey, like Benji loves this chocolate bar. So it's just it just makes you feel more in tune with each other. And at the end of the day, we're all humans, and that's like the most important part. I've always said that my whole life. Like, let's just be kind to each other. We're just all humans going through the exact same life. We're going through life. We're all going through challenges, and like let's just understand each other, be kind, love each other,
Yes. Yeah. I love that. And we are, and anything you could do to just humanize everybody, because you put your head down, like you said, you're working at 9 or 10 o'clock on a Friday night, right? And so it's so easy to think like it's so easy for you to fall into that trap, or others to fall into that trap of this is all I need to focus on right now. Don't care about your Easter memory, right? Like you just like, but you need that moment to just make hey, remember we're all human. Like I just took a course with Northwestern on coaching, and we had it was like 4 days and full days, but we always did a one word check-in at the beginning. And what I loved about that was nobody kept it to one word. So if you wanted to, you could. And there was a few people who would just say like, depending on your mood, but then a lot of people would just give a couple of sentences. And then what I found was you would go off, it was up over Zoom. So then you would just like do a side chat with them and ask them more about something if there was something that you like, and you just got to know people that way. And it actually made the group feel closer when we all came from different walks of life. It humanized everybody. We weren't just there just to get this certificate, right? Like we really were there to learn and get to know other people. And it was great. Yeah.
I love that. And at the end of the day, that's all business is. That's all sports is. That's all life is. It's like everyone is human. I love people. I love getting to know people. I love getting to learn about people. And I think like if more people cared about more people, then the world would probably be a better place.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, right. It would just take a minute to just empathy and just learn about people and care. Let me ask you this, because I think one difficult thing for new managers, and I feel like we're in this space here talking about effectively leading a team, diversity and inclusion, and then I want to throw, I don't know if this is going to be a curveball or not, but I want to talk about accountability. So you create this happy place, you create this caring place, a fun place to work is the energy I'm getting from you. And then and let me know if you're hiring, or let everybody know if you're hiring, because it sounds like a fun place to work. But how do you hold people accountable? How do you coach them when they miss the mark? And I think that's something that managers struggle with, is having those difficult conversations.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing that comes to mind is, as a leader myself, I have to hold myself accountable. I'm always the first person to say, oh my God, I screwed that up. Oh my God, I got that wrong. Oh my goodness, that wasn't what I thought it would be, and I thought it would turn out differently. So I think you can't hold other people accountable if you can't hold yourself accountable first. And when your employees see you holding yourself accountable and saying, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I got that wrong, I missed that, I screwed up. When your employees see that, they're going to be more willing to say, oh, screwing up is okay. It's okay to screw up. It's not, again, going back to what we said, it's not the end of the world. So I think the way, like, I love like the hamburger method. So like, saying something good and positive about it, but then, sandwiching it in with that constructive criticism, and then ending it off with like, don't worry, you got this. I know that you're going to do better next time. So I'm really lucky to have, great employees that that don't just like say, oh, thanks, or like, oh yeah, I screwed up. They say, okay, and I'm going to learn from this. And again, that all comes from the top. Like, an employee can't be in that position if you aren't in that position. So yeah, I think it's like leading by example, really.
Yes, I think that's great. I love that quote. You can't hold people accountable unless you hold yourself accountable. And like, you show up and show people like, I messed up. Here's how I messed up. Here's what's going to look different next time. Moving on. Like, you're still the CEO, CEO, like, you still are in charge, but you make mistakes, and it allows other people to make mistakes too, and not feel so like stressed about it. And I think that's hard to say, right? Because no matter, like, we're all high achievers, and I imagine your team of 8, you have high achievers, and like, we're hard on ourselves. However, like, when you see someone at the top, like you said, top down, like, you see someone at the top, like, move on, it's like, well, if she can move on, she's the CEO, I need to move on too. I can't hold on to this and let it define me. So what a great example.
The other thing is, like, and we've said this before too, sometimes, especially in tech and innovation, sometimes the biggest turning points come when a mistake is made. Like, sometimes if you're so closed off and you're so scared to make mistakes, you're so scared to get it wrong, you're so scared to like put an idea out there, you're actually being a detriment to yourself and to the company because you're scared to make a mistake. I grew up, I never liked to like speak in a group. I was always like, oh, I might be wrong. But now, and I tell my younger employees, like, speak up, what's on your mind, like, say it, because there's no wrong answers, and you never know, that mistake, or even if it's wrong, it might actually lead to something really innovative coming out of the company. And if everyone is just always so preoccupied with not making a mistake, then one, productivity is going to be really slow because everyone's like trying not to screw up, and then two, you're not going to have that opportunity to see something that maybe wasn't there before.
Yes, love it. All right. This is not, I don't know. I never know how to transition to the rapid fire questions. So I just say that and then we transition. So are you ready for rapid fire questions?
I'm ready.
12 questions. First thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
Don't overthink it like I do. What is your favorite sports moment?
I think, like, just thinking back to playing hockey, growing up playing hockey, some of my best friends that are still my best friends today, we had so much fun. Like, the memories of tournaments that we went to, just really how that grew me as a person. My hockey career, let's say, is definitely my most fond memory.
I love that. It's special. Okay, what is something people always get wrong about you?
Ooh, well, that I'm Kris's secretary.
I mean, I can't believe I didn't even dig into that one. That I can't even. You know what? You know why I didn't dig into it? Because you immediately said he's an ally for women in sports, women in sports tech, just women in general. And he was like, no, ask the CEO. Like, dude, you're getting it wrong. Like, what a great partner to have. What a great, like, leader for your team to have as well.
I agree. I'm very lucky. Definitely. And also another thing that people get wrong, which is good. I do not complain, but a lot of people think I'm younger than what I am. So they treat me like, a lot of like older men, like in sports, will treat me like I'm their daughter, or, like a young niece. And I start now oftentimes when I feel that out, I'm like, I worked in marketing for like 19 years, 18, and they're like, oh, okay, so you're not like in your 20s. So that people get that wrong about me too, which I will always take. I will never complain about.
Yes, you know what, and it's been a while since I got that, so I don't know what that means. But yes, I'm talking like 6 months it's been, but like, yes, I get the same thing, and they're like, wait, you've been in sports for 20 years? I'm like, yeah, yes, like,
I know what I'm
yes.
talking about.
Yeah, and like, yeah, and you're right. They're like mood, or they're not their mood, but like
Demeanor.
their demeanor. Thank you. Their demeanor definitely changes and shifts for sure.
They're like, oh, I can respect you now. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
well, too bad you couldn't before, but thanks.
Yeah, like even if I was 20, you should probably just respect me because I probably have it. You know what I mean? Like a totally new perspective. Like it shouldn't matter, right?
Exactly.
Like it shouldn't matter at all. What's one food you wouldn't want to give up?
Ooh, pizza, cheese pizza, plain cheese pizza. Oh, if I could eat that every day.
Same. Yeah, same. It's my like go-to food when something good happens, my go-to food when something bad happens. It's just I eat it way too much, but it's just so good. Yeah, you're right. Are you a morning person or a night person?
100% a night person. I hate mornings. I do mornings, but if I didn't have to, I would not. I'm more creative. I work better. I love evenings. I love nights. Yeah, always have been.
Yes, love it. Favorite holiday?
Ooh, I'm obsessed with Christmas. Everyone knows me as like a Christmas fanatic. So I start decorating November 1st. And
Stop it. You start decorating November 1st for
oh,
Christmas.
oh yeah, I go all out. My second favorite is St. Patrick's Day because I'm
Oh my,
Irish.
oh my gosh. That's hysterical. November. I'm sorry, I'm stuck on the November 1st.
I'm one of those people. Yes, that's me.
I mean, I will say, like, the decorations are so pretty. Like, I do get very sad when, like, we take down our Christmas tree. And, like,
Yeah, I do not take mine down until like mid-January.
so you get a solid 2.5 months. All right. Dog or cat person?
Oh, I love both. I'm gonna go with something different though. We up until so I love both.
Yeah.
Love cats, love dogs. But we until recently, about a month ago, we actually had a giant Flemish rabbit. I never thought I'd have a rabbit before, but he became our mascot at FanSaves. His name was Jack, and unfortunately, we had to have him put down in February. But he like was just such an amazing animal. I never ever thought I'd have a rabbit, but we rescued him, and definitely I choose him over a dog or a cat.
A rabbit. Man, the rescue organization that I like foster dogs through, they always have rabbits on the page. And I'm like, really? A rabbit?
He was like 15 pounds. He was huge.
Oh my goodness. That's bigger than my dogs.
Yeah.
Like, that's really big.
He was so funny. He was so smart. And like, he was literally like, we called him the closer because like Kris would be selling FanSaves. He'd jump up and Kris would be like, this is Jack.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Huh. I'm gonna keep that in mind. I one day see myself in a big house with lots of dogs and maybe rabbits.
Yeah. Let me know.
On my list.
I'd love to know.
All right. What product would you seriously stockpile if you knew it was going out of business?
I would say like maybe like my MAC like foundation, like
Yes.
I would hate to live without, or maybe like hair conditioner because like you need conditioner because my hair is long and blonde and bleached, and without conditioner, I'd probably not have any hair left. So probably something like, I know that's very vain, but probably something to make sure I continue looking decent.
Nope, it is not vain. Okay, I feel like this next one is a trick question. What is your favorite app?
FanSaves.
Okay, you had to choose Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, or Instagram.
Ooh, that's a tough one. So innately, I always say Instagram because I love Instagram. I love like pictures, and I just my following is bigger on LinkedIn, so I do love LinkedIn. Instagram I like because of the pictures, and then TikTok somehow I got a following on there too. But I try not to be on TikTok. I don't like getting caught up browsing on TikTok, so I try not to open it as much. I would say probably Instagram is what I like strive for. Facebook is where like I always get a lot of interaction, and LinkedIn on the business side is like where kind of like people really take notice.
Yeah.
That's probably not the answer you're looking for.
No, I mean, there is no right answer. Someone needs to like make an app that kind of has all of those features. We can all come together like a super social app. Who is your biggest inspiration in life?
Oh, definitely my mom. I know I talked about her earlier, but she was a single mom. I'm an only child. We were super close, best friends. Watched her build her business and in international freight forwarding and customs. So she was often the only woman in the room. So learned a lot from her about business, entrepreneurship, and strength, really. So I know she's well, she passed away, but I know she's still always cheering me on. So yeah, definitely her.
That's beautiful. As a child, what did you wish to become when you grew up?
When I was 3, it was an astronaut. That was like the first thing. But then like my, like childhood, like 9 to, or maybe like 7 to like 12 was a marine biologist because I fell in love with Free Willy as a child and really wanted to be a marine biologist until I realized that I don't really like fish. I'm actually scared of fish. And that you have to that's fish, like marine biologist is fish, not just like orcas and dolphins. So those two things are quite different. But
yeah, that's kind of like a doc, like saying you want to be a doctor, but you don't want to deal with like blood ever.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, last question. Finish the sentence. The future of women working in sports is
unstoppable.
Yes, I love it. Yeah.
Just growing, and we're going to take over the world.
I love it. This conversation, Shannon, has been amazing. If someone wants to get in touch with you, how can they go about doing it?
Our website, fansaves.com. LinkedIn, search my name, Shannon Ferguson 12. Most of my handles are like Shanferg 12, or just Shanferg. 12 is my hockey number in case you didn't know.
Got it.
So yeah, most of my handles are that. And reach out, Shannon at fansaves.com if you want to chat.
Okay. And then FanSaves, you guys have your own Instagram as well?
Yeah, FanSaves across the board, except for Twitter. There's an underscore between fan and saves, but everything else is just FanSaves.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for the time. This was such a great chat.
Oh, this was so much fun. Thank you so much for having me. You're wonderful.
So what did you think of this episode? Do you know another woman who works or is aspiring to work in sports? Would you do me a favor and share this with them? It would mean so much if together we could support and inspire other women on their journey. And let's stay connected. I love meeting and talking to new people. Follow me on Instagram at Jahaan Blake and join the free Game of Her Own community by visiting jahaanblake.com. I can't wait to meet you.